And good evening, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Current Events on Tap, a podcast brought to you by the Alex Kirsch Project, where, like the drinks, the current events are on the house. And I am your host, Alex Kirsch, pragmatic, progressive, U.S. Army veteran, truck driver, gamer, and streamer. If this is your first time on this podcast, please do not forget to hit like, share, and comment, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Show me some love out there. Currently, I'm streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, and the X platform. The format of the show is simple. I bring on one or more guests on the show, and we will talk beer or beverage of choice and talk current events of the week. Each person will discuss a beverage of choice for this hour, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic. It does not matter. Then each person will cover two current events of their choosing. They give the current event, they give their assessment, then each person gives a chance to get their assessment, and then we discuss. Now, debate may be possible, but rest assured you are in a good faith zone, and you will get your chance to get your point across. The point of this space is for all of us to discuss the issues and for what we think and to keep an open mind. But the other person has to say, and please keep an open mind. However, tonight I'm going to be flying solo. The person I was supposed to be a guest on was unable to make it, which is okay. Life happens. It happens to everybody. So tonight I'm just going to make this a fairly short stream. I'm only going to talk about one topic tonight, and I'm basically going to be reviewing the Harrison Butker situation. Now, for those unaware, Harrison Butker is the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, three-time Super Bowl champion, and he gave a commencement speech at a college. It was a very strictly Catholic college kind of deal, so he basically kind of weighed in, and so I haven't had a chance to see the whole entire speech, essentially, so that's what I'm going to do tonight. Each topic that he kind of covers, I'm just going to either pause it and I'm just going to kind of give my assessment on it. But before I go into that, I'm actually going to talk about the beverage I have this evening, Captain Morgan's Spiced Rum. Tonight is definitely a night for rum. It's been one of those hellish weeks, where I have to, let's just say it was a very, very busy week for myself. So and today was no exception. I did, trash pickup along the highway today where I live. And then also my wife and I were doing some gardening stuff and just doing some stuff to get planning and whatnot. So, but tonight is definitely a rum night, and I'm definitely gonna probably get shit faced tonight. Let's put it that way. So, but anyway, I'm not gonna get too shit faced with this podcast because I still gotta be coherent whenever I talk about these things like that. So again, if you're just now tuning in and whatnot, please be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about this podcast. I already see some viewers are here watching. Feel free to watch whether you're on YouTube or Twitch or the X platform. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and watch this Harrison Butker speech. All right. I'm watching it via Real Player. So let's go ahead and get this thing started.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2024, I would like to start off by congratulating all of you for successfully making it to this achievement today. I'm sure your high school graduation was not what you had imagined, and most likely neither was your first couple years of college. By making it to this moment through all the adversity thrown your way from COVID, I hope you learned the important lessons that suffering in this life is only temporary. As a group, you witnessed firsthand how bad leaders who don't stay in their lane can have a negative impact on society. It is through this lens that I want to take stock of how we got to where we are and where we want to go.
Which bad leaders is he talking about exactly? I mean, is that tossing shade at like a president, or is it tossing shade at a college person? Who's he talking about, I wonder?
Citizens, and yes, as Catholics. One last thing before I begin. I want to be sure to thank President Minnis and the board for their invitation to speak. When President Minnis first reached out a couple of months ago, I had originally said no. You see, last year I gave the commencement address at my alma mater, Georgia Tech, and I felt that one graduation speech was more than enough, especially for someone who isn't a professional speaker. But of course, President Minnis used his gift of persuasion and spoke to the many challenges you all faced throughout the COVID fiasco and how you missed out on so many milestones the rest of us older people have taken for granted. While COVID might have played a large role throughout your formative years, it is not unique. Bad policies and poor leadership have negatively impacted major life issues. Things like abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, as well as a growing support for degenerate cultural values in media, all stem from the pervasiveness of disorder. Our own nation is led by a man who publicly and proudly proclaims his Catholic faith, but at the same time is delusional enough to make the sign of the cross during a pro-abortion rally.
Okay. I think we now know who he's talking about. He is talking about President Biden. Now, for those not aware, yes, President Biden is a Catholic, but at one point he might have had some pro-life views, but now he is pro-choice. So this guy is definitely tossing some serious shade at Biden for reasons I have no fucking idea why, but let's just put it this way. This guy is going to basically wave his Catholic faith as a badge of honor, and he's talking about degeneracy. Okay. I'd love to know more about this degeneracy that he's essentially talking about, which apparently he likes to talk trash about the LGBTQ plus community. He likes to talk bash on people like that are pro-choice. So we're already off to a great start, aren't we? So this is probably why he caught so much flack, and he definitely deserves it seems. Now, for the record, okay, there are people that have already doxed his location. There are already people that are calling for him to be fired from his position, okay? I'm going to kind of weigh in on that for a second, but just to kind of clarify on this, I don't think he needs to be fired for his points of view. I don't think he needs to be canceled either, but I'm going to kind of weigh in on all that once the speech is over with.
He has been so vocal in his support for the murder of innocent babies that I'm sure to many people it appears that you can be both Catholic and pro-choice.
Yeah,
he is not alone.
You can.
From the man behind the COVID lockdowns to the people pushing dangerous gender ideologies onto the youth.
Okay. When did COVID fucking happen, okay? It happened in 2020, okay? 2020 is when COVID happened. Who was president at that time? And guess what? Had a certain president actually taken his fucking job seriously, had he actually listened to his national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, on how this was going to be the national security challenge of your administration, had Donald Trump actually listened, COVID might not have killed so many fucking people. But no, Trump did not have to listen. And yes, I am going to toss some serious shade at Trump, okay? Now, once Biden took office, he had to deal with the pandemic, essentially, which was kind of a shit show. Because if you decide, because Trump, let's be honest here, Trump and his administration and his infinite wisdom decided, hey, let's get rid of all of these, let's get rid of the task forces that specialize in stuff like this. Because for some fucking reason, he thought that was a good idea, which it wasn't. Because we have these bureaucrats, we have these people that specialize in these for a reason, because they actually want to make sure that stuff like COVID doesn't happen again. But it did, because somebody didn't take it fucking seriously enough. What an absolute joke so far.
America, they all have a glaring thing in common. They are Catholic. This is an important reminder that being Catholic alone doesn't cut it. These are the sorts of things we are told in polite society to not bring up. The difficult and unpleasant things. But if we are going to be men and women for this time in history, we need to stop pretending that the Church of Nice is a winning proposition. We must always speak and act in charity, but never mistake charity for cowardice. It is safe to say that over the past few years, I've gained quite the reputation for speaking my mind. I never envisioned myself nor wanted to have this sort of a platform, but God has given it to me, so I have no other choice but to embrace it.
Okay, dude, God hasn't given you a fucking thing, okay? You got there because you trained for that position, okay? I'm sorry. This might come up as really antagonistic, but here's the thing. God did not give you your gifts, okay? You basically got this because you trained all your life to get to that point, all right? Maybe that's the direction you wanted to go. Maybe you feel that God gave you those gifts, but no, he didn't give you a fucking thing, all right? You became a professional football player and a kicker because you trained all your life to get to that point, okay? That's just my opinion. That's just the way I look at it.
And preach more hard truths about accepting your lane and staying in it.
Oh, accepting your lane and staying in it, but yet you're catching so much flack for not staying in your lane. Let's keep going.
As members of the church founded by Jesus Christ, it is our duty and ultimately privilege to be authentically and unapologetically Catholic. Don't be mistaken, even within the church, people in polite Catholic circles will try to persuade you to remain silent. There even was an award-winning film called Silence, made by a fellow Catholic, wherein one of the main characters, a Jesuit priest, abandoned the church and as an apostate, when he died is seen grasping a crucifix, quiet and unknown to anyone but God. As a friend of Benedictine College, His Excellency Bishop Robert Barron said in his review of the film, it was exactly what the cultural elite want to see in Christianity: private, hidden away, and harmless. Our Catholic faith has always been countercultural. Our Lord, along with countless followers, were all put to death for their adherence to her teachings. The world around us says that we should keep our beliefs to ourselves whenever they go against the tyranny of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We fear speaking truth because now, unfortunately, truth is in the minority. Congress just passed a bill where stating something as basic as the biblical teaching of who killed Jesus could land you in jail.
No, it didn't. No, it did not. Oh my God. He has not read the fucking bill. I already covered this. Not last week before, but the week before last. What the fuck is this guy talking about? He clearly has no idea what he's talking about, and he's trying to grasp at straws, okay? Holy shit. Tonight is definitely a rum night. This is clearly a rum night. Oh my God. Harrison. God save you, but dude, you are truly lost.
But make no mistake, before we even attempt to fix any of the issues plaguing society, we must first get our own house in order, and it starts with our leaders. The bishops and priests appointed by God as our spiritual fathers must be rightly ordered.
Okay, none of these people are appointed by God, okay? They're appointed by fucking bureaucrats in religious circles, okay? That's how they get appointed, okay? God doesn't choose any of these people, okay? Okay, listen. People are probably going to say, oh, are you an atheist? No, I'm not an atheist, okay? I'm more spiritual. I just have problems with organized religion as a whole. And that goes for every religion. I don't care if it's Buddhist, I don't care if it's Muslim, or whatever religion, or Judaism. Like, if your religion basically dictates you to treat people like shit, then your religion's fucked up, okay? Because I know there's plenty of good Muslims, good Christians, good Catholics, good Jews out there that are all good people. They just want to live their lives, actually want to treat people the way you'd want to be treated. But then you got guys like this fucking dude that's, just wanting to preach to you and basically say why your life is all gone to shit, basically.
There's not enough time today for me to list all the stories of priests and bishops misleading their flocks, but none of us can blame ignorance anymore and just blindly proclaim that that's what Father said. Because sadly, many priests we are looking to for leadership are the same ones who prioritize their hobbies or even photos with their dogs and matching outfits for the parish directory. It's easy for us laymen and women to think that in order for us to be holy, that we must be active in our parish and try to fix it. Yes, we absolutely should be involved in supporting our parishes, but we cannot be the source for our parish priests to lean on to help with their problems. Just as we look at the relationship between a father and his son, so too should we look at the relationship between a priest and his people. It would not be appropriate for me to always be looking to my son for help when it is my job as his father to lead him. St. Josemaria Escriva states that priests are ordained to serve and should not yield to temptation to imitate lay people, but to be priests through and through. Tragically, so many priests revolve much of their happiness from the adulation they receive from their parishioners, and in searching for this, they let their guard down and become overly familiar. This undue familiarity will prove to be problematic every time because, as my teammate's girlfriend says, familiarity breeds contempt. St. Josemaria continues that some want to see the priest as just another man. That is not so. They want to find in the priest those virtues proper to every Christian and indeed every honorable man: understanding, justice, a life of work, priestly work in this instance, and good manners.
I'm speechless right now. You don't need a priest in order to find these qualities. The only thing that's different from like the average Joe, like you could find those same qualities in a man that follows Islam. You could find those same qualities in somebody that's Buddhist. You could find those same qualities in somebody that's atheist, okay? You don't need to be religious in order to be an effective leader. This is why I have a problem with organized religion, because they seem to think that you need to have some level of religion in order to be moral, okay? No, you don't, okay? There are people that are religious, that utilize their positions to basically brainwash people, to let their guard down, to take advantage of them. There is history within the Catholic Church. I don't know if you're tracking this, Harrison, but there are people that have been taken advantage of because the religious leaders brainwashed them into doing so. But you don't want to talk about that. Ugh. I'm already getting irritated. I'm already getting worked up. I usually don't get worked up like this, but oh my God, this is horrendous.
It is not prudent as the laity for us to consume ourselves in becoming amateur theologians so that we can decipher this or that theological teaching, unless, of course, you are a theology major. We must be intentional with our focus on our state in life and our own vocation. And for most of us, that's as married men and women. Still, we have so many great resources at our fingertips that it doesn't take long to find traditional and timeless teachings that haven't been ambiguously reworded for our times. Plus, there are still many good and holy priests, and it's up to us to seek them out. The chaos of the world is unfortunately reflected in the chaos in our parishes, and sadly, in our cathedrals too. As we saw during the pandemic, too many bishops were not leaders at all. They were motivated by fear of being sued, fear of being removed, fear of being disliked.
What?
They showed by their actions, intentional or unintentional, that the sacraments don't actually matter. Because of this, countless people died alone without access to the sacraments.
No, you asshole, that's not true. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Mother Mary, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. No, dickhead. You need to understand something, okay? People did not need to go to church to speak to God, okay? If you need to go to church to speak to God, then obviously your connection to God is fucked already, okay? Let's put it this way, okay? There are churches out there that actually performed responsibly because we had never seen something like COVID ever fucking before, okay? And you know what? If I get I'm not even monetized right now, but let's put it this way. We need to understand something, okay? When COVID happened, there has never been a pandemic like this since the Spanish fucking flu. This was a generational fucking plague, essentially. Now, here's the thing. The reason why it's important for us to understand, because there were pastors and preachers and televangelists and evangelicals out there that were guilting people to come to your church and give them money, essentially. With their COVID checks, they were saying, give me your COVID checks. Give me your COVID checks. Like, I remember, because I did an entire video about this during the time of the fucking pandemic. But this guy wants to actually guilt people and just say, oh, good God. No, people did die alone. Do you know why they died alone? Because they could not get the adequate help. Because the stigmas like this that's saying that it was just a disease, it was just a plague, it was just the common cold. It was worse than the common cold, actually. And this is why I cannot stand idiots like this. All right? And I'm coming after him. I'm coming after his argument, because these are bad fucking arguments.
And it's a tragedy we must never forget. As Catholics, we can look to so many examples of heroic shepherds who gave their lives for their people.
They're called doctors and nurses.
The church.
What?
We
No,
cannot
doctors
buy
and
into the
nurses.
lie that the
Doctors and
things we
nurses.
experienced during COVID were appropriate. Over the centuries, there have been great wars, great famines, and yes, even great diseases, all that came with a level of lethality and danger. But in each of those examples, church leaders leaned into their vocations and ensured that their people received the sacraments.
No. I'm sorry, no. Doctors and nurses are the heroes, not fucking leaders of churches, okay? Unless they have medical knowledge and whatnot, that they are not the heroes. The doctors and the nurses who work round the clock, while other people could not see their family members, guess who is still working? Doctors and nurses and truck drivers. Those are the fucking heroes here, Harrison.
Great saints like St. Damien of Malachi, who knew the dangers of his ministry, stayed for 11 years as a spiritual leader to the leper colonies of Hawaii. His heroism is looked at today as something set apart and unique, when ideally it should not be unique at all. For as a father loves his child, so a shepherd should love his spiritual children too. That goes even more so for our bishops, these men who are present-day apostles. Our bishops once had adoring crowds of people kissing their rings and taking in their every word, but now relegate themselves to a position of inconsequential existence. Now, when a bishop of a diocese or the bishops' conference as a whole puts out an important document on this matter or that, nobody even takes a moment to read it, let alone follow it. No. Today, our shepherds are far more concerned with keeping the doors open to the chancery than they are with saying the difficult stuff out loud.
Like what?
It seems that the only time you hear from your bishops is when it's time for the annual appeal, whereas we need our bishops to be vocal about the teachings of the church, setting aside their own personal comfort and embracing their cross.
What?
Our bishops are not politicians, but shepherds. So instead of fitting in the world by going along to get along, they too need to stay in their lane and lead. I say all of this not from a place of anger, as we get the leaders we deserve.
Like what?
But this does make
Like
me
who?
reflect on staying in my lane and focusing on my own vocation and how I can be a better father and husband and live in the world but not be of it. Focusing on my vocation while praying and fasting for these men will do more for the church than me complaining about her leaders.
Wait, what do you think you're doing right now? It sounds like you're complaining right now, sir.
Because there seems to be so much confusion coming from our leaders, there needs to be concrete examples for people to look to, and places like Benedictine, a little Kansas college built high on a bluff above the Missouri River, are showing the world how an ordered, Christ-centered existence is the recipe for success. You need to look no further than the examples all around this campus, where over the past 20 years, enrollment has doubled, construction and revitalization are a constant part of life, and people, the students, the faculty, and staff are thriving. This didn't happen by chance. In a deliberate movement to embrace traditional Catholic values, Benedictine has gone from just another liberal arts school with nothing to set it apart to a thriving beacon of light and a reminder to us all that when you embrace tradition, success, worldly and spiritual, will follow.
What do you mean by tradition exactly? When people say tradition, they never seem to weigh on what they mean by tradition. What are you talking about as far as tradition?
I am certain the reporters at the AP could not have imagined that their attempt to rebuke and embarrass places and people like those here at Benedictine wouldn't be met with anger, but instead met with excitement and pride. Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. But
Whoa. An entire month dedicated. Did he just say what I think he just said?
Wouldn't be met with anger, but instead met with excitement and pride. Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify Him.
Oh my fucking God, he damn sure did. He said where an entire month is celebrated. Oh, this fucking guy here.
Reading that article now shared all over the world, we see that in the complete surrender of self and a turning towards Christ, you will find happiness. Right here in a little town in Kansas, we find many inspiring lay people using their talents. President Minnis, Dr. Swafford, and Dr. Zimmerer are a few great examples right here on this very campus that will keep the light of Christ burning bright for generations to come. Being locked in with your vocation and staying in your lane is going to be the surest way for you to find true happiness and peace in this life. It is essential that we focus on our own state in life, whether that be as a layperson, a priest, or religious. Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2024, you are sitting at the edge of the rest of your lives. Each of you has the potential to leave a legacy that transcends yourselves and this era of human existence. In the small ways, by living out your vocation, you will ensure that God's church continues and the world is enlightened by your example. For the ladies present,
half of these people are probably just going to work the same dead-end fucking job for the next 20, 30 years, probably. I hate to be such a dick about it, but it's probably true. I don't know. Maybe some of these people go off and do great things. I have no idea. I mean, maybe I'm just being a bit harsh. But, you know, listening to this is just like, listen to this fucking guy talk. But he said the ladies, this is where it draws the biggest controversy. This is the thing that has gotten him the biggest flack. But the thing is, what's funny about this speech is like this speech actually has caused his jersey sales to go up significantly, which is fine. I mean, you know, people can buy his jerseys. Listen, when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling during the national anthem and there was a huge uproar, some people were burning jerseys, which if you're going to buy a jersey just to burn it, you're a fucking idiot. That's just me. But some people continue to buy Colin Kaepernick's jerseys and stuff. But apparently people are buying his jerseys like they're going out of style, basically. It's your money. You can do whatever you want to. I won't buy. I'm not even a Kansas City Chiefs fan, honestly, so who gives a shit?
Today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife.
Okay, listen, okay. Maybe I'm just being a bit harsh about this, but to me, that seems like crocodile tears as far as I'm concerned. So here's the thing. A man that meets a good partner or spouse is a very good thing, okay? Because everybody in life needs to have somebody that they can cling to feel vulnerable around. That's very important in life. And I always talk about things like this. But this guy is basically saying, ladies, I'm so glad that you're graduating, but guess what? All your accomplishments to this point are basically shit, all right? The best accomplishment you can ever have is to give birth to children. Get married and give birth to children. That's your biggest accomplishment, okay? Okay, this guy needs to understand there are some women out there that don't have that ability, okay? Maybe you're not focused on them. If that's not your focus, okay, fine. But maybe there are some women that don't want to have children. There are some women that don't want to get married. That's also their choice, okay? We've got women out there that, they don't have to be nuns to get married, to not want to get married and whatnot. Some of them just prefer to have, like, a career or something because they just want to live their lives, okay? But this guy seems to think, well, this is great that you've done this thing, that you've, made this accomplishment to, maybe I'm just being a bit harsh on this, but it seems really condescending to say, ladies, I'm proud of your accomplishments, but guess what? Go out, get married, have children. That's more important than everything that you've studied your ass off for the past few fucking years after he said, hey, great accomplishment coming in here. But guess what? That means nothing. Now it's time for you to go out and just reproduce. That's all you're good for.
And embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
Homemaker! Homemaker! Oh my God. Congratulations, honey. Oh my God. Ladies, if you want to get married, if that's your goal in life, awesome, great, good for you, okay? But there are women out there that's not their main goal in life. They have other goals and aspirations, which is also okay. We need to get that across the board. If her main goal in life is to just get married, have children, stay at home, be a homemaker, great. That is fantastic. But that should not be the only goal in life for women, for Christ's sake, okay? Like, our society continues to progress. Our society continues to progress, and it needs to continue to progress. We don't need to go back to the 1950s where there's a single parent income household or whatever. Like, it doesn't work like that anymore. Nowadays, you need at least two parents to be working in order to have a functional household. Why? Because the bills have got to get paid. Now, you can wish and dream. If wishes and nuts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But the fact of the matter is, depending on where you live, you need to have both parents working. Because guess what? Childcare is expensive. Power bills are expensive. The power bills are increasing every year. Winter, summer, what have you. You've got to have not just a single income coming into the family. There's got to be multiple incomes coming in. I mean, it's just a fact of life. Not everybody can afford, paying rent or paying your mortgage, paying the bills, paying the groceries, all that stuff, paying for gas. Some of this stuff requires more than one income. So maybe I'm just jumping the gun on this. Maybe he might bring that up, but it doesn't sound like he will.
She's the primary educator to our children. She's the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and father. She's the person that knows me best at my core, and it is through our marriage that, Lord willing, we will both attain salvation. I say all of this to you because I have seen it firsthand, how much happier someone can be when they disregard the outside noise and move closer and closer to God's will in their life. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, But if you asked her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no. As a man who gets a lot of praise and has been given a platform to speak to audiences like this one today, I pray that I always use my voice for God and not for myself. Everything I am saying to you is not from a place of wisdom, but rather a place of experience. I am hopeful that these words will be seen as those from a man not much older than you, who feels it is imperative that this class, this generation, and this time in our society must stop pretending that the things we see around us are normal. Heterodox ideas abound even within Catholic circles, for let's be honest, there is nothing good about playing God with having children, whether that be your ideal number or the perfect time to conceive. No matter how you spin it, there is nothing natural about Catholic birth control. It is only in the past few years that I have grown encouraged to speak more boldly and directly, because as I mentioned earlier, I have leaned into my vocation as a husband and father, and as a man. To the gentlemen here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities.
Okay, people that think like that are dumbasses. How about that? People that think you don't need men are dumbasses, okay? Either somebody's being hyperbolic, saying we don't need men, or they're just fucking idiots, okay? I'm just being perfectly honest, okay? We need everybody to survive. Men need women, women need men. Or like, you know, if women, or if you're not straight, you know, LGBTQ plus, what have you, whatever floats your boat, okay? We need each other to survive, okay? That's all there is to it, okay? Now, I might say some things like, for example, I've given examples of like if women were not on Earth for 24 hours, what would men do? And if men weren't on Earth for 24 hours, what would women do? Okay, this is because these are hypotheticals essentially. But the fact of the matter is that like we do need one another. Now, when he says things like, "Man, you're being told that you are not needed," nobody really believes that shit. Because we need each other to survive. Let's be honest here. I'm a progressive. I'm a pragmatic progressive. I know for a fact that we all need one another in order to survive in this crazy fucking world we live in. But this guy is just pushing his own personal agenda on this crowd, essentially. But you know what? Everybody does it. Most speakers will do that, especially in a place that's very, you know, I don't know, conservative possibly, very religious, who knows?
As men, we set the tone of the culture. And when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction,
What?
and chaos set in.
Ugh.
This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here
Okay, there's plenty of countries around the world that have fathers in the picture, but they are just as violent as everybody else. But he's not going to say that, will he?
in the U.S., and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity.
What?
Fighting against the cultural emasculation of men.
What?
Do
What?
hard things.
Oh.
Never settle for what is easy.
What?
You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better. I speak from experience
Jesus.
as an introvert who now finds myself as an amateur public speaker and an entrepreneur, something I never thought I'd be when I received my industrial engineering degree. The road ahead is bright. Things are changing, society is shifting, and people, young and old, are embracing tradition. Not only has it been my vocation that has helped me and those closest to me, but not surprising to many of you, should be my outspoken embrace of the traditional Latin Mass. I've been very vocal in my love and devotion to the TLM and its necessity for our lives. But what I think gets misunderstood is that people who attend the TLM do so out of pride or preference. I can speak to my own experience, but for most people I have come across within these communities, this simply is not true. I do not attend the TLM because I think I am better than others, or for the smells and bells,
Don't know what that is.
or even for the love
Oh, well.
of Latin. I attend the TLM because I believe, just as the God of the Old Testament was pretty particular in how he wanted to be worshiped, the same holds true for us today. It is through the TLM.
Does this guy really... Okay, this is why I ask people, do you follow the New Testament or the Old Testament? Most people say we follow the New Testament. I said, okay, so do you don't believe in the Ten Commandments? Oh, well, I follow the Ten Commandments. Okay, so you don't believe that, you know, Noah's Ark happened. Oh, yeah, I believe shit like that happens. This is why there's no consistency in religion. There is none whatsoever. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Old Testament God angry, vengeful, and basically wanted to instill his will upon the people with fire and brimstone? Is that the Old Testament God he wants?
That I encountered order and began to pursue it in my own life. Aside from the TLM itself, too many of our sacred traditions have been relegated to things of the past, when in my parish, things such as Ember Days, days when we fast and pray for vocations and for our priests, are still adhered to. The TLM is so essential that I would challenge each of you to pick a place to move where it is readily available. A lot of people have complaints about the parish or the community, but we should not sacrifice the Mass for community. I prioritize the TLM even if the parish isn't beautiful, the priest isn't great, or the community isn't amazing. I still go to the TLM because I believe the holy sacrifice of the Mass is more important than anything else. I say this knowing full well that when each of you rekindle your knowledge and adherence to many of the Church's greatest traditions, you will see how much more colorful and alive your life can and should be. As you move on from this place and enter into the world, know that you will face many challenges. Sadly, I'm sure many of you know of the countless stories of good and active members of this community who, after graduation and moving away from the Benedictine bubble, have ended up moving in with their boyfriend or girlfriend prior to marriage.
Good.
Some
Go
even
for
leave
it.
the church.
Fucking awesome. That is a good thing, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you this much, okay? There is nothing wrong with you moving in your boyfriend or your girlfriend before marriage. That's a good thing. And I'll tell you why. Because when you do things like that, you learn so much about one another. You learn about your partner's habits. You learn about what they likes, the dislikes, what kind of chores need to be done around the house. You know, people might have done this before where, you know, oh no, they waited until marriage before they moved into each other, which is also okay. But honestly, I highly encourage those out there to get, before you get married, gentlemen, before you even pop that damn question, move in with your girlfriend. Because you're going to learn everything you need to know about her. Up to that point, essentially. But you're going to learn about a lot about her. You're going to learn about what she likes, what she dislikes, what kind of chores she's going to expect you to do. If she wants you to do the dishes, if she wants you to clean the toilet once in a while, take out the trash when she asks you to. These are all basic things that you're supposed to do as a man to help out around the house. And you know, I get it. You're tired, you come home from work, you've been working all fucking day, and you're drained. There are still responsibilities for you to have around the house. And guess what? That's the part about being a man. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was dragging ass when I came in here, but after watching this, it's gotten me like all kinds of fired up right now because I'm like, he's talking about things that I just feel like he comes from a position where he's never had to experience the same things I've had to experience, which is fair. But there's nothing wrong with you moving in with your significant other or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, long before you pop the question. Because you can learn so much about one another in that time. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
And abandon God.
Abandon
It's
God?
always heartbreaking to hear these stories, and there's a desire to know what happened and what went wrong. What you must remember is that life is about doing the small things well, setting yourself up for success, and surrounding yourself with people who continually push you to be the best version of you. I say this all the time, that iron sharpens iron. It's a great reminder that those closest to us should be making us better. If you are dating someone who doesn't even share your faith, how do you expect that person to help you become a saint?
Oh my God, you fucking prick. Oh, what a condescending asshole. Yeah, you're an asshole. Not just because of what you say. This just consistently oh my God. Here's the reason why I say that, okay? Not everybody's going to have the same beliefs, okay? Not everyone's going to. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong if you and your partner might disagree on some issues. I mean, I see about relationships where there's like a Muslim and a Buddhist coming together, you know, or a Christian and a Catholic coming together. You don't all have to share the same beliefs to get along. It might help. You might have something in common, but it's not necessary. I mean, just like, there are more important things in life than your fucking religion. It's that simple. And you know what? If you meet each other in church and you go to the same church, fantastic, that's awesome. But you don't need to go to the same church in order to have the same outlook on life. It's not true.
If your friend group is filled with people who only think about what you're doing next weekend and are not willing to have those difficult conversations, how can they help sharpen you? As you prepare to enter into the workforce, it is extremely important that you actually think about the places you are moving to. Who is the bishop? What kind of parishes are there? Do they offer the TLM and have priests who embrace their priestly vocation? Cost of living must not be the only arbiter of your choices. For a life without God.
Oh my fucking God! Oh, what a fucking joke! Holy shit! Okay, people, do not listen to a word this guy has to say. This is a guy that makes a shit ton of money kicking a fucking football, okay? This guy is not living in reality. The cost of living is very important about where you choose to live. Do you know why? Do you know why that is so important? Because if you are accepting a job in a position and you know how much you're going to make in that position, right? You're going to want to know where I live, if the commute is good, if it's a safe neighborhood, if I have the same amenities that I'm looking for, like if it's an apartment complex. Do I have to worry about paying for water? Do I have to worry about paying for electricity? Do I have to worry about paying for amenities? Will I be able to install a washer and dryer, or is there facilities on site? All of this is tied to fucking together, but he's sitting here saying, oh, don't worry about the cost of living. You have to worry about the cost of living because common sense dictates this shit, all right? This is why I am so infuriated, because it's not living in reality. He kicks a fucking football for a fucking living, okay? He doesn't have to worry nearly as much about some of the other football players that get hit. This is not living in reality. Now, I might seem a little bit batshit crazy about the fact that he's giving bad advice, but this is bad advice. You should definitely be concerned about where you're going to live, because if you work a regular 9-to-5 job, right? If you work a regular 9-to-5 fucking job and you make $50,000-$60,000 a year, and depending on your commute, how much you're going to spend on gas, how much you're going to spend on groceries, what's the median household income in that area, what is the crime rate in that area, all of this ties in. That's why it's important for you to do your research and find out what is the best place. Not because if the church is good, who gives a shit if the church is good? That church could be fantastic, but the cost of living is fucking enormous, and you can't afford it. I mean, oh my God. What piece of shit advice is this?
Is not a life at all, and the cost of salvation is worth more than any career.
God!
I'm excited for the future, and I pray that something I have said will resonate as you move on to the next chapter of your life. Never be afraid to profess the one holy, Catholic, and Apostolic Church, for this is the church that Jesus Christ established, through which we receive sanctifying grace. I know that my message today had a little less fluff than is expected for these speeches, but I believe that this audience and this venue is the best place to speak openly and honestly about who we are and where we all want to go, which is heaven. I thank God for Benedictine College and for the example it provides to the world. I thank God for men like President Minnis who are doing their part for the kingdom. Come to find out, you can have an authentically Catholic college and a thriving football program.
I've never heard of their football program. What's their record?
Make no mistake, you are entering into mission territory in a post-God world. But you were made for this.
Post-God world?
And with God by your side and a constant striving for virtue within your vocation, you too can be a saint. Christ is King to the heights.
Yeah, so the asshole got a standing ovation. Okay, so final thoughts on that video. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to give final thoughts just yet. When it comes down to the topic of whether this guy should get canceled or not, no, he should not get canceled. I don't think he should get fired. I don't think he should lose his job. I don't think he should lose any of that shit, okay? Because I've seen football players that have done far worse, that have been able to come back for something much worse than they did. I mean, do I disagree with everything he said? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I think that he was being a condescending prick? Absolutely. I felt like he was just being, waving his religion around like a badge of honor, which is his right to do so. I have every right to disagree with the guy. I have every right to disagree with Harrison Butker to the nth degree, and I do. He has every right to say what he wants to. He has every right to believe what he wants to do, and he has every right to say what he wants to say, especially when he's invited to an all-Catholic school, essentially. That's not my point. My point is that he gave shit advice that's not based in reality because he comes from a position of privilege because he can afford to live wherever the hell he wants to live, essentially, and not have to worry about whether he's going to be able to pay rent, whether he's going to worry about paying grocery bills, what have you. That's the thing. Now, there are some things that I felt like he said that were very controversial. Absolutely. Not just telling women, hey, the most important thing you'll do is become a mother. There are women out there that have done far more important things than just being mothers. Yes, it's a very important part about your life, right? There are women out there that could wish to be mothers, but they can't. I don't know, because like maybe they were born with a uterus, or maybe because they just were never able to get pregnant, whatnot. No matter how many times their husband, has tried, that's a real thing. But the thing is, if you're just going to say, yeah, it's great that you're going to go off and get a vocation, but nothing's more important than becoming a mother. There are so many things. Like, there are people out there that are great contributors to society that create better parts that make society better. There are women out there that work in infrastructure, that work as truck drivers, that work as nurses, that work as doctors, that work as teachers. There are so many vocations that women can go into where they can contribute to making the society a better place today. Now, I am not dogging on people that become mothers, especially if they decide to do that instead of going to college. That is entirely your decision. I'm a firm believer that if that is what you want to do in life, go for it. Raise the high heavens. Be the best you can possibly be. Be the best mother, the best caretaker, the best homemaker, what have you. But if you are a young woman that wants to become a lawyer, go out there and be the best lawyer possible. Seek justice. Do what's right, legally and morally. If you want to go out there and be a soldier, be a soldier. Be the best damn soldier you could possibly be. If you want to go out there and be a stockbroker, if you want to go out there and be a truck driver, if you want to go out there and load, just be a forklift operator. Go out there and be the best forklift operator. The potential is within you, the individual. Not because some fucking book tells you to do so. There are some very important things that we need to focus on in this society, and it's not because the fucking Bible tells you to, okay? There's a lot of things that the Bible tells you to that we do not follow to the letter, and that's okay. We don't live our lives by the Bible, nor should we. Just like people that come from, Middle Eastern countries that want to escape the oppression that they might face over there. They come over here because they are seeking a better life. And I like that. That's good. This is a good country for you to seek a better life. But there are people around here that seem to think, nah, you should do what your religion dictates for you to do because your religion could never be wrong, could it? Could it? Organized religion is incorrect at times. I cannot think of any other ideology that has caused more harm than organized religion, and I mean that sincerely, wholeheartedly. And the reason why I say this is because it has caused more harm than anything else. And I don't mean like killing or physical harm. I'm talking about financial harm, mental health harm, harm in general. Let's just be honest about this. When I look at a speech like the one that Harrison Butker gave, he's entitled to give his opinion on this. He was invited there for a reason. It's because they share the same convictions, essentially. But when he's saying, oh, we're going to celebrate an entire month of Pride, there's a reason why we celebrate this. Because there are people that in this community, in across the country, that are LGBTQ+. They are essential parts. They are doctors. They are teachers. They are healthcare workers. They are lawyers. They are bus drivers. They are people that exist like anybody else. And for years, we have always failed to recognize them. For years, we've always told them, there is something wrong with you. This is not normal behavior. Well, newsflash, everybody, it is normal. And it should be perceived as normal. Why? Because they live among us in society. They do not deserve this mistreatment. People that are gay, lesbian, trans, non-binary, I say this all the time. They just want to live their lives. Are there opportunists out there that actually just want to just cause controversy? Absolutely. But there's people like that everywhere that are straight, that cause controversy, that are just fucking assholes. It happens. It's how our society is built. People have the ability to go out there and be assholes to catch clout. It happens. But we have this Pride Month for a reason. It's because they contribute to our society. And you'll have people out there that's like, well, wait a second. Where's the white people's month? Do we really need a month? Do we? If you want a white person month, what month would you prefer? January? April? What month? Tell me, white people, what month would you like to have? Because you can't have February on it because that's Black History Month, essentially. But the fact of the matter is that, I just wonder, what is it that you guys want? What kind of what is it that you just want? Because, we are the majority. Straight white people are the majority in this country. And yet, for some reason, we still feel threatened by the LGBTQ plus community. We are threatened by people that have no impact on our lives. And there is something fucking wrong with us. We are too fragile for this shit. All right? If you don't understand, that's one thing, okay? But the thing is, I just think that some of you choose to not understand because you want to just live in your little bubble and think, well, that person's gay, there's something wrong with them. No, there's nothing wrong with them. There is something wrong with you, though, because you never know. Your life might get saved by somebody that happens to be a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And then what are you going to say? No, this person's not normal still. I still feel this way. No, I don't want to get saved by somebody that happens to be a member of this community that I so heartily disagree with. When it comes down to it, if you're bleeding the fuck out, you're not going to give a shit who's saving your life, as long as that person does save your life. That's what matters. So when this guy sits in his ivory tower, and his main career is being able to kick extra points and field goals and do kickoffs, he's got nothing to worry about because he is part of an amazing franchise, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be a threat for years to come, as long as Patrick Mahomes is on that team. But the thing is, when he sits in that ivory tower of his and he believes that his convictions are more important than others, and he seems to think that being religious is more important than just being human, there's a problem. He sits in a position of privilege because he doesn't have to worry about the same things that you and I, the average citizen, have to worry about on a day-to-day basis. Just like every other athlete does that makes hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. They don't have to worry about the same things we have to worry about. I come from a position of realism. I come from a position of understanding that tomorrow is never guaranteed. And if you continue to treat people like shit and downplay and talk down to people just because they might, think differently from you, that's a problem. And I speak like this, and I'm very, very animated about stuff like this because we need to understand something. Not everybody holds the same conviction as you do. Not everybody believes in the same things as you do. That's just a fact of life. But when I hear speeches like that where they say you need God in order to be successful, all right, I'll tell you what. I do believe that there is a God out there. I just use the term God because it's the most socially acceptable term. I do believe that Jesus did exist, just not in the same way that, a lot of people perceive him as. I don't believe he performed miracles. I don't think he actually walked on water or anything like that. I think it just made for a good story. But what do I believe in? I believe that we are on this earth to make lives better for ourselves. Because God doesn't make this world this way. We do it. When good things happen, it's because we take that action. God might have created the opportunities, maybe. If you want to believe that, that's fine. But I believe it's us as humans that made these things possible. I believe it's us that actually had the opportunity, and we took that opportunity to make things better for ourselves. Just like there are people out there that make things worse for us as well. And it's really important for us to understand this. If we want to build a better society, you don't build it by being religious. You build it by just being moral. You build it by being a better human being to your fellow man and to your fellow neighbor, regardless of their religious affiliation or their sexual orientation, their gender ideology, what have you. Because that's what makes a better society. We do it every single day. Every single day, you might come across somebody that might have a different point of view from you, but you still make shit happen. That's what we are. It's who we are supposed to be as Americans. But we have forgotten that. We have gotten past the point of just simply disagreeing with people. Now everybody wants to cancel the other person just because of a disagreement. Again, I disagree with Harrison Butker 100%. I don't think that he's right whatsoever, but he's entitled to his opinion even if I disagree with it to the highest order, and I do. But for him to be canceled just because you disagree with him, when he has not broken the law. He has not committed domestic violence. He has not, gotten drunk out in public and assaulted a bunch of people. All he said was he gave a commencement speech that I thought was the cringiest fucking thing I've seen so far. But that's all he did. He shouldn't lose his job just because people felt a little offended by what he had to say. I wouldn't say I'm offended. I'm just saying he's wrong in his commencement speech. Things that he said in there, I disagree with. That's it. I leave it at that. But he should not be canceled just because he said something people might disagree with. I mean, hell, there are people out there that have said, racial epithets, that have dropped derogatory terms, and they were able to keep their jobs. But there's no consistency here. Now, I have to leave it at that. I disagree with the guy. I felt he was being condescending, but that's it. He gave his speech at a Catholic school. That's all there is to it. He gave his political beliefs. He gave his religious beliefs, and that's all there is to it. I can disagree with him. I don't condone what he said, but that's his conviction. That's why I do this podcast. Even though I don't get shit for fucking views, I'm still going to keep doing it anyway, regardless of what my haters might tell me. I do this because it's something I enjoy doing. And people are free to disagree with me all they want to, and they can try their best to challenge me at my convictions with their convictions. And we can have a civil conversation, and we can maybe talk it out. But the fact of the matter is when it comes down to something like this, when it comes down to a guy that says, listen, the most important thing you can do is not have a vocation where you can do your part in making the world a better place, but just reproducing. Because there are people out there that have reproduced that have turned out to be awful fucking parents. And what they do, they end up fucking their children up and making them just like completely alienated by the entire world because they feel that this is the reality that they have to face. I can give examples like that for days, but I don't feel like doing that right now. Being a parent isn't good enough. You have to be a good parent. I would know because I was raised by good parents. I was raised by especially good parents, and they were raised by good parents that had just as good convictions as anybody else. But it's not because of religion that made them good parents. It's because they understood what it meant to be a good parent. Leading by example is one thing. And you don't need religion in order to lead by example. You just need to have a strong moral character. And you don't need religion in order to have morality. Because if that was the case, then why are atheists just fucking around and just going out and about and just slaughtering people left and right because they think they can get away with it? It's because they know that there are laws in each country that they come across. There are laws that are dictated by government, essentially. That's all there is to it. So, at the end of the day, as I wind down, let's just put it this way. I disagree with everything Harrison Butker said. I thought that speech was completely idiotic, but he has every right to say it. He doesn't deserve to get canceled. He doesn't deserve to get doxxed. He doesn't deserve the hatred that he gets. But guess what? He should expect the criticism that he gets. And I definitely will say that, everything that he said was just complete bullshit, in my opinion. Now, people can say what they want to about it. They can say, oh, well, you're just upset because he's successful. I don't care if he's successful. I consider myself successful. And I'd have to kick a fucking football. Yeah, I don't have millions of dollars in my bank account, but I consider myself successful. I'm very happy with the life that I've led so far. And I'm sure he's happy with the life he's led so far. God bless. Have at it. But when you seem to think that the only thing that matters in life is religion, it doesn't. Religion might be a small part of other people's identity, but I feel there's more to life than just going to a church once or twice a week and saying, yes, Hail Mary, full of grace, please help us sinners now at the hour of our death. And let me pray for these people that I don't like whatsoever. But guess what? Let me pray for their souls, even though they didn't fucking ask me to. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's a whole, I could go on about this for hours, but I don't want to fucking rant about it too much more. So anyway, for those that tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in for this whole hour. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Be sure to leave, if you like this content, be sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And if you want to challenge me on this, let me know. Just drop me a message. Hey, listen, let me challenge you on your convictions. Let me challenge you on this topic. And we'll just go from there. Other than that, everybody else, I hope you all have a great day. And be sure to tune in next week on the next current events on tap. And y'all take care now.